So you've seen the TikTok videos, the days in the lives, the videos about how great it is to work in tech, the videos about the benefits, the free food, the free gym membership, and you're thinking, maybe I want a part of that. Maybe I can also get a role in tech. And this is exactly what today's video is about, how to land your first job in the tech industry. I'm going to be giving you guys some tips and tricks on how to get started within tech. Before we jump straight into that, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe and let me know what kind of videos you want to see on this channel. When it comes to landing your first job within any industry, but especially within tech, there are 4 parts which I think everybody needs to consider. Number 1 is niche. Number 2 is skills. Number 3 is branding. And number 4 is your application. So you've decided that you definitely want to work in the tech industry and you're thinking, what's the first thing that I should do now that I've made this decision? In my opinion, I always think the first point of call when it comes to landing a job is thinking about your niche. So essentially your niche is what segment of the tech industry that you are interested in and would like to work in, and choosing that before you go into the other elements of finding a job and essentially putting in an application for a role. The tech industry is huge. There are so many segments to it. So there is development, there is sales, there is post-sales, there is data analyst, there's security. There is so many areas of tech, and it's so important before you actually go straight into putting in that resume, finishing that application, to really be sure about what you want to do and picking your niche. You'll hear other kind of content creators within kind of Instagram and social media marketing talk about the niche, and they say, what is your niche? What is your niche? I really believe that area and that decision is also important when it comes to job search within the tech industry. The reason why niching down is so important is that it will help to tailor your application and help you to build the right skills to show hiring managers and recruiters that you are the right fit for that industry and that role. And I think it just helps with the confusion of getting started to just pick one area and focus on that. Once you've kind of niched down and started your career, then you can kind of explore loads of different areas in tech. But for the beginner point, I really think it's good to just pick one area, stick with it, build the right skills, and hopefully land that job. But niching down can be a little bit difficult. It can be confusing as well, especially when you have a lot of people telling you how great it is to work in so many great areas of tech and how many benefits there are and how much money you're going to make and how in demand those skills are. So it can be confusing to think about what exactly you want to do. So everyone will say, software development is great, data science is great, cybersecurity is great. So many areas of tech have lots of benefits, but it's really important that you think about, what do I want to do personally? But luckily there is a formula and a way of thinking that I think about when I'm just thinking about my career path. For example, my next role will be my 3rd role in tech, and I still think about this when I'm thinking about niching down for that aspect. So it's really thinking about, what exactly do I want to do day to day? So considering the day-to-day activities of the role rather than the job role itself, like the job title. So for example, I would say that I love presenting, I love being in front of customers, I love traveling for my job. So that kind of indicates that I want to work in sales. So that's kind of the first element of it. Think about the day-to-day activities of the role and what you'd want to do and the lifestyle that comes with the job, not just the job title. Then I would go into thinking about the skills that I already have that are transferable, but also the skills that I can build. So for example, I can say I have lots of communication skills, I can build product skills, and maybe my next role can also be product management, like thinking about it like that. Because there's absolutely no point in saying that, you want to be a software developer, but it's unrealistic for you to build coding skills. Like you don't think you'll be able to build them because you need to have programming skills to be a software developer. So you kind of have to think about, what realistically can I do right now, and then maybe build up in the future and things that I'm interested in. So what I want to do day to day, plus the skills that I think I can build. And then finally, minus the things that I definitely don't want to do. Because I think it's really just as important to think about the things that you don't want to do and the things that you do want to do. So for example, I can say that I don't want to be sat at my desk all day, and someone else might say, oh, I really don't want to present, or I don't want to be in front of people. So that would help to narrow down some of the things that you don't want to do, add it to the formula, and hopefully that should help you to find the niche and the area in tech that you should go into. So a big part of the niching process is of course doing your research, so make sure that you get started with that. I would just say Google or Bing or Yahoo search tech jobs and look at what the results come up with, read the articles from the different websites of other different types of tech jobs that there are out there. I would also say that do not be afraid to reach out to people on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, and ask them what they do in their jobs. You know, a lot of people do days in their lives, a lot of people do videos and stuff like that, so it's really good to just reach out and ask, and don't be afraid if they don't kind of respond. It's not a big deal. We've all been left on red before, and people have like lives, they're not busy. Just find the right people for you and make sure you have a community, and that should help with the niching down process and hopefully help you to discover what you want to do in tech. Now that you've niched down and you know exactly where you want to go within the tech industry, well done, girl, you did that. Now, what you have to focus up on is the second part of the 4-part process, and this is skills. You guys already know how big the tech industry is. I always tell you that, and therefore there are so many different roles, and all of those roles require a different set of skills. And big misconception that I see a lot of people make is that if they want to work in tech, then they just jump straight to coding and programming and learning about programming. But you don't need to code to be a customer success manager or a cloud solution architect or an Azure specialist. So there's really no point in you going to kind of spend all of your time programming, even though it's a great skill to have. There's no point spending hours and hours and hours learning all the programming languages, only to go into an Azure specialist role, which doesn't require you to. So skilling and finding the right skills within the tech industry for the job that you want to do is really important. The best way for you to find the right skills for the job that you are going after is to study the job description. On the job description, there will usually be a list of required skills and also a list of preferred skills, and those will be a mix of non-technical and technical skills. All jobs will require both set of skills, but examples of technical skills tend to be obviously technical knowledge, so things like programming, scripting, knowledge of products and also tools. Then the non-technical side tend to be things related with people, so communication, organisation, team leadership, negotiation, etc. Even though all jobs require both, some will weigh heavier on one side, whereas the other will weigh heavier on the other side. So for example, if you wanted to be a software engineer or a data scientist or a cybersecurity specialist, you may require kind of more of the technical side of things rather than the non-technical. But if you wanted to work, for example, as an account executive, then you would need more of the non-technical but a little bit of the technical. And then I think areas like UX UI design tends to be the one where it's kind of like a good middle ground of both. But make sure you kind of do the research on those, study those job description, and again, do not be afraid to reach out to people and ask. Make sure you find the right skills, and once you know, jot them down and get to learning. There are so many great resources for learning skills for the tech industry. Some of them are completely free, so courses on things like FreeCodeCamp, Coursera, Udemy, and of course YouTube. Yay. But others will require you to obviously pay. So for example, a boot camp, a degree, and some sort of paid course, either online or with a tutor. The way that you kind of choose which area you want to go down, it's really up to you. Some people will say that they were kind of self-taught and they were happy to use kind of the free resources that they had. But this obviously depends on your background. You know, if you come from a STEM background, it may be a little easier to kind of be self-taught and go into kind of programming and stuff like that than if you didn't. That's not obviously 100% science, but just thinking about some of the skills you already have and think about whether or not self-taught with free resources would be kind of okay with you. I came from a non-STEM, non-coding background, so I chose to do the paid route. So I did a second degree, and I absolutely would always recommend. I love doing my degree. I needed structure and also accountability, so a degree just made sense, and the tutors really helped me. And obviously having a degree comes with the credentials. It opens me up to kind of different types of graduate roles as well, so I was really happy to have done a degree. But of course, a degree is expensive and it was also long. Mine was 1 whole year long, so September to September. So if you don't have the kind of the money and the resources all the time to do a full-blown degree, then a boot camp or a course may be more suitable for you. There are so many different boot camps out there now. My only suggestion would be to, of course, make sure you do your research on all of these boot camps. But yes, just know that there are so many resources out there for you to learn, and skilling up within and for the tech industry has never been more accessible. So now that we know what we want to do and we have the right skills for the job, we have to look at branding. My perception of branding is essentially how companies, hiring managers, recruiters are going to view you, like what they think of you when they look at certain aspects of your application. Now, this will include things like your resume and your LinkedIn and also your application. So we have to make sure that all of those make you look like the right person for the role. Branding, I think, is really important when it comes to any application process. The first part of your branding is probably going to be your resume. So we have to make sure that that highlights all the skills that you have and shows that you are the fit for the job. So ensuring that you have kind of the non-technical and the technical skills within that, ensuring that your resume is nicely clear and concise. My own resume is only 1 page long, but other people will say 2 is also good. So just go with the advice in kind of the country that you're in, I would say, making sure that all your experience is listed properly, but your bullet points follow the XYZ method, which has been released by the Google recruiters. So it's essentially making sure that you quantify all of the things that you put within the bullet points with numbers. So I did this and increased something by this percentage, essentially. Again, I've got my resume up on my Instagram page, so make sure you go out and check it. Follow me, of course, as well, and check it for kind of advice on how your resume can look too. So there's so many great tips out there on how to make sure your resume is perfect for any industry, but specifically the tech industry. So make sure that you go out to look for those and make sure that your resume fits what we recruiters within the industry would think of it as being kind of a standout resume. Number 2 is obviously your LinkedIn. I know that LinkedIn actually gets a lot of flack lately. A lot of people are finding it a bit too much, a bit Facebooky, but I stand by LinkedIn. I really think that LinkedIn helps people, land great jobs. And of course, recruiters and hiring managers are on LinkedIn. I can't tell you how many times I get messages from recruiters every week saying there's a role here, there's a role here. Clearly my profile is optimized. It's not the best, but it's good enough for them to find me and send me kind of jobs and invitations to interview and stuff like that. So I would say make sure your LinkedIn is good. Only a few key points to really think about. So number 1, your picture, make sure it's obviously of you and essentially a close-up, and make sure your job description and title is good. Make sure that everything is up to date, so all of your jobs that you've had. Make sure that you have a good description of what you do as well on there as well. Make sure you're using the skills section, and also make sure you have that looking for work turned on. If you're already working, obviously don't put the little banner, but make sure you kind of turn it on for recruiters to see. Again, I'm just reminding you guys that LinkedIn is important as part of that branding piece. There are lots of tips and resources out there to get your LinkedIn looking top notch. Finally, once we have all of those things, we've got the skills, we know what we want to do, our branding, our resume, and our LinkedIn is up to scratch. Now it's time for the application of, this is probably the most important part of the 4 parts. Obviously, this is really what's going to land you your first role. So you've got to make sure that you are at your best during the application process. The key to absolutely smashing any application process within the tech industry is research and preparation. You've got to make sure you prepare very thoroughly for your application process, and there are a few key things that you should kind of focus on. So I would say number 1, the company. So make sure that you know what the company is, what they're trying to achieve, things like their strategic vision and their mission statement, which a lot of people miss actually. It's really important. You obviously have to know things like when it was launched, who are the leaders, etc. But those aren't the key important things. Focus more on what is the core of the company, essentially. Then you also have to make sure you understand the competitive landscape and the industry that they're in, because obviously the industry that they're in will shape what they're trying to do. And a tech company within the fashion sphere is not going to be the same as a tech company within sports. So try to understand what the industry is like, who are their main competitors, how are they better than their competitors, what they can improve on. These are all such great points to bring to the interview with you. And then there's things like doing research on also yourself. So that's really important. So making sure that you know the right skills that you've got for the job and how you can showcase them. Essentially asking yourself, what do you bring to this role? Why should we hire you? Because even if the recruiter or the hiring manager doesn't ask that, that is what they're looking to answer through the application process. So make sure you know all of your skills, make sure you have examples of all the great things that you've done in the past, and make sure you just bring them to with you throughout the application at every stage. Then finally, make sure that you do research on the interview process itself. Will they be asking you technical or non-technical questions? Will it be coding? Will it be non-coding? What kind of activities do you have to do? Do you have to do an assessment center? Do you have to just do a standalone interview? Will it be a panel interview, group interview? Is there a team task? What kind of questions are they going to be asking you? Is it going to be tell me a time when questions, which is where those examples come in handy? Or will it just be kind of direct question? Or will it be more strengths based? There are so many different types of interviews, and knowing all of this along with the company, the culture, the competitive landscape will really help you to smash your application process. Great resources for application process preparation is, of course, number one, Google. Just doing the research on there. Number two, the company's website, of course, will tell you a lot about what they're trying to achieve. Number three, stuff like Glassdoor, and of course Blind. So Glassdoor tells you kind of the previous questions that have come up. Blind has kind of anonymous posts from people who work at the company, so they can really give some great insights on what you should be preparing for, and also they can tell you a lot more about the culture and what the company may be looking for that they're not speaking about directly. So there's a lot of things that you kind of need to be prepared for, but make sure you use the resources that I have just mentioned, and I'll pop them in the description below. One more great tip for those of you who have watched the video all the way through, so thank you so much. But when it comes to putting in your application process, if you can get a referral from someone who knows the hiring manager, that really helps, or knows the recruiters, that really helps. Not just a referral from kind of anyone who works at the company, because their name may not hold any weight, but obviously if I know someone at Google who knows the hiring manager for that role, I'm obviously going to ask them to put my referral in, or maybe get a good word in there. It's a great way to kind of boost your application. And I know it's annoying, it's all a game, it's a little bit nepotism-y, or completely is nepotism, but the game is the game, so you kind of have to help yourself as much as possible. So that's when networking is really important. If you can get a referral from someone who knows the hiring manager, then that will really help with your application. Well, that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you find it useful. I hope that this video has helped at least one of you guys land your first job in tech. If it does, please let me know. Please go like, comment, and of course subscribe, and I will see you at my next video. Bye.